Good afternoon, Transpac race fans. This is Dobbs Davis giving you the 19 July Transpac Position Analysis Report here from Honolulu. We'll start out today's show with our usual look at the tracker and a little bit of news. Last night, Comanche finished. It was about, I think it was about 9:30 local time. So as the first to finish monohull in the race, they win the traditional barn door trophy. So congratulations to the team on Comanche. 2 years ago, they set a course record. It wasn't going to happen this year because of that first night getting off the coast, but they all reported they had a fantastic ride, and congratulations again to them. I'm going to zoom in, and the next monohull to finish will be Minutia's Rio 100. Shown here, and they are inside the 200-mile live tracker, so we're keeping track of them. We expect them in about 8 o'clock tonight as the first monohull to finish without any stored energy, meaning they have a fixed keel and all manual systems. They then qualify for what's called the Merlin Trophy. So we send congratulations to them. For those that know Transpac and know a bit about the history, you may scratch your head over this, and it's true. The Barn Door Trophy was the traditional first-to-finish trophy for any monohull in the race, regardless of how it was configured. That was changed in 2009 in recognition that the boats, the latest generation boats with canting keels, are just that much faster, and therefore the Merlin Trophy was created to recognize those that have that technology. The Transpac board at the Transpac Yacht Club decided this past year to revert this award back to the barn door being any monohull. And as Stan Honey said in his interview last night with us, that having that criteria puts the barn door trophy back in a historical perspective to where it was always a recognition of the fastest monohulls, those with the best ocean racing characteristics and technology. So again, congratulations to Comanche, but also to Rio. Fantastic efforts. Rio last year won barn door when it had the old criteria, and that was actually kind of half limping along. They had broken a rudder of the two they have on board, and had a tough time of it 2 years ago. So this year's race has been a little less eventful for them, but again, we'll see them later tonight. Other boats that are poised to come within the 200-mile range here is Alive, Phil Turner and Duncan Hines. Reichel Pugh Design 66-foot boat. This boat does have a canting keel. It's a very fast boat. And they are almost within range of the 200 miles. This boat is significant for having won the overall Sydney Hobart race trophy last December. So another Australian team like Comanche. And we'll look to see them probably at this distance out and at that speed. I think we're looking to see them sometime tomorrow morning. Brigadoon is also coming within range. Brigadoon is a Division 6 boat. They were amongst the leaders in that first wave of boats that started over a week ago on Wednesday. They've kept moving the entire time, have done a nice job. As well as these guys on Hokolohe, the 457. We've seen them out in front. They're also a Division 6 competitor from that Wednesday starting group. So they're starting to converge. And then the J121 Blue Flash is this. I'm kind of impressed. This J121, it's a relatively new J boat design. This is a boat, for those that may not know, that has a water ballast system that's been designed to try to reduce the number of crew you normally have on board to contribute to stability. So the Blue Flash guys are coming along. They're a Division 6 boat and also started the first day and hanging in there well. And then coming out of here from the south, Amazing Grace, another Division 6 boat. So it looks like all these guys are coming in and converging fast. It'll be real interesting to do this show tomorrow to see what their approach strategies will be coming into the islands. But this is also another FAR 57, so somewhat like these boats, Brigadoon and Hokulea. These are cruiser racer boats of probably a generation ago in design, but they've been having a great race, and there's a lot of good writing from some of these boats too if you want to go to the blogs. The next wave of boats, Lady Canaan, is the old Varuna, and this is a Rogers 46, very well sailed boat from Japan. This team comes every 2 years to do this race, and they have a new platform this year. Let's see, Affont le Girafon is that Figaro Beneteau 3. This is a small boat designed to be double-handed, and it is double-handed for this race. These guys were amongst the first wave of starters on Wednesday. We'll analyze a little bit more on how they've done in this race, but it's a small boat, but fast for its size, and certainly doing well down the track. Now, scrolling out a little bit, just a few stories. As you can see, everybody more or less trying to choose their best VMG sailing based on what wind they have and where they're sailing. If we do a little bit of scrolling back through the last several hours, you can see that there's a lot of jibes, a lot of passes, people not committing to one way. It's almost looking like a buoy race out here on a downwind leg. So I find that interesting. Also from the blogs that are coming in, just stories about the different squalls that are affecting them. One aspect of this race is certainly a lot of downwind sailing, and at this stage of the race, after a few days of downwind sailing, the gear gets worn out, and some damage can happen both to sails and rigging. Part of the seamanship of the race is keeping all that intact so you can be at your best performance. So, stories are coming in about blowing up spinnakers in a squall and then having to repair them, putting them back up. I mean, this is all normal Transpac stuff for those that are new to the race, of which, interesting side note is that 75% of the skippers in this year's race, the 50th edition, are actually new to Transpac, which I found surprising given the number of entries we have here. But it shows that a lot of folks interested in this race and interested in trying on the challenge. So that's good news, certainly for ocean sailing. Couple little stories of note. The guys on the TP52 Conviction, they have somebody on board who fell in a knockdown and against a hard side on the cockpit and broke a rib. So they're at 11.2 knots. They're throttled back a bit. I think they're just trying to be safe here, and maybe they'll get back up and running when they have that injured crewman back in a stable position. But no danger, just a lot of discomfort for that crewman on board, and they've wrote in that they're just erring on being safe for the time being, so that may account for their slower speeds in that boat. Let's see, yesterday we had a story about Prevail, and they wrote in and said everything's great. They thank everybody for the support, particularly their competitor Vela. So we told that story yesterday, and that has a good ending. The guys in Kealoha had an interesting blog today as well. They talking about the squalls rolling over top and the way they changed their rig. Now remember, Kealoha is a ketch, so their options for sails are not just a spinnaker, a staysail, and a mainsail. They have a mizzen main and mizzen staysail and a lot of other sail combinations available to them. Now they progress at not a planing rate. That's an older boat, long and not very light. So they don't go surfing down the waves. They kind of plow down them. But they're having a great time and great stories coming from them. There's Vale up there, yes. So we thank that team for helping out the folks on Prevail. Let's see. Do we have any others? Yes, I have one other thing to show you today, and that is another aspect of the Transpac that we haven't talked about thus far. Besides the individual competition, we've actually, for the first time, offered team racing. Now, it's not team racing as you know it from collegiate sailing or sailing out in dinghies with 3-on-3. This is organizing a group of boats together with a common background. In a lot of cases, they're from yacht club, same yacht club or same area. And maybe they're just pals. We didn't actually set the criteria. We just let the teams decide that for themselves. And we're determining the positions, and it's called the Storm Trysail Team Trophy. This is a new perpetual trophy that's being donated by the Storm Trysail Club, which, like the Transpac Yacht Club, is on the East Coast, but it is a what we would call paper club. I'm actually a member. We don't have a clubhouse, but we are very active in organizing ocean races and make that contribution to the sport, just as Transpac Yacht Club does. We also organize inshore races. Block Island Race Week was 2 weeks ago. That's an event that the Storm Trysail Club has organized since 1965. So a lot of history, a lot of dedication into the sport. So that club has donated this team race trophy. And as we could see by these standings, the Naughty Blue Tequila team is now leading. Now, the way this is calculated is a little bit complex, but it actually makes sense. What we do is when the teams have organized themselves, we take the standings that each boat in that team has within their division according to each day's daily position report. So over the last 3 days, we've been tracking this. Thanks to this matrix, by the way, to Jared Walgamuth, who's our webmaster and kind of the glue that sticks all the content together between the photos and the blogs and my analysis and working with the race committee at Tom Torrio. We really thank Jared. So he set up this matrix here to show what the percentage is of that team. So out of 6 boats in Division 10, which is the Cal 40 division, Azure is in second place. So they're logged in here. In Division 9, Nautilus, which is a long, narrow boat, they, let me get the exact boat type. Nautilus is a Waza 55, that's right. So Scandinavian design and build, kind of an unusual boat, but they're doing pretty well. They're first in their division, so they get logged in. And then Oaxaca is a Santa Cruz 50. That's in Division 4. So collectively, their percentages are added up, and they have the lowest percentage, and therefore they're leading in the standings. This is updated every day. And again, the reason we do this is and try to calculate this within each division is that if we did it on overall scores, then we might have some winners and losers based purely on what day they sailed and the weather that they encountered. So as we've been saying all along in the analysis of this Transpac, those that started in the second wave on Friday probably stand the best chance of doing well overall simply because they've had the best weather of the 3 groups that started. So we didn't necessarily want that result in the team race standing, so we chose this method of calculating them as a percentage of how they were doing within their own division. Second in the standings now, Destroyer, Grand Illusion, and Patriot from the Newport Harbor Yacht Club. Los Angeles Yacht Club in third in the standings now with Callisto and Psyche, both Cal 40s, and then Rheinrag 2, which is J125. So this is on the homepage of the website if you want to keep track of this. But thanks, Jared, for doing that calculation, and this gets updated every day at right after the position report at 0800 in the morning Pacific time. So big picture, looking back, scrolling out a little bit on where the wind will be and a little bit on what the conditions are like out on the course. Everybody's reporting, again, champagne sailing. I use that cliche, but it's absolutely true. 15 to 20 knots of wind, occasionally higher in the squalls. So, seamanship is at its best at night when the squalls are more prevalent, and it's just getting through that experience, but that's part of doing this race. Pretty uniform field of wind speeds, according to this model, getting slightly higher. Now, yesterday, Comanche came in on their approach, came right into Maui jibed, went right across the north shore of Molokai and then in through the Molokai Channel in that route. Rio and Paradox obviously taking a slightly higher route. We'll see if Rio maybe gets lifted and they come into Molokai. But in fact, why don't we look at the 200-mile tracker just for fun to see if that's borne out, because this is more in real time on what their approach is. So clicking through and getting a little bit more. Yeah, so they're actually, do we have a wind overlay on this one? We do, I believe. Yes. You can see at this time of day, which is just after noon local time here in Hawaii, the wind really builds up. And looking at this, I came in a couple days ago in the airplane, and the sea is really boiling out here. I mean, it's big wind and big waves. So as Rio approaches into that, they'll really start going fast. On the live tracker, they're at 16.6 knots, but this boat's capable of over 20. So I'm sure their speeds will pick up and maybe affect their ETA. I think that's it for today. I urge everybody to, actually, let's take a quick look at the leaderboard and our overall corrected times. And from the start, or our overall, actually recent, yeah, let's see here. Yeah, that doesn't look quite right to me. I'm not sure what's going on here. This could be some misreporting from some of our trackers, but it should be some of the Division II boats. So the guys that were leading this yesterday and before were Division II boats that I'm not seeing here up in the standings. Velvet Hammer, I believe, was third yesterday at this stage. Yeah, could be a little glitch in the calculations that are being done here. But I've explained how this is done in the overall standings. It's a projection of their speed to the finish, the ETA, and then calculating a projected corrected time based on when they're going to finish down the track. Yeah, there's some funny things going on here with the trackers, and I'm sure this is just glitches in the tracker data. To start seeing some negative times in here, that doesn't make any sense. Nor does days in the 2000s or 20. Is that 21,000? Yeah, those are. Zimmer, I know, had a glitch in their tracker. Tom Trio, our race committee chair, had reported that the other day. So maybe don't look at this, or look at it with a grain of salt when the tracker data comes back to be more stabilized. So with that, I think I'll sign off for today. Wish everybody happy viewing. Try the virtual regatta, the virtual race too. That's an interesting other feature we have here for Transpac, and I haven't had the time to look at it myself, but I think I will as things start to calm down. And for those of you that have friends and family on the race, we wish them best of luck, and tune in tomorrow. This is Dobbs Davis signing off for today.